So the president spoke about why he's not going to be running, and he spoke about the threat that his would-be opponent would constitute toward civilized order. Quoting Benjamin Franklin, "It's a republic if you can keep it." The key thing being if you can keep it. I'm really at a loss for words when the left says that it is the right that is threatening the republic, when every institution has been ruined by the left, where for the first time in American history people do not trust election results because of what the left has done to Election Day. It has done to Election Day what it has done to universities and elementary schools, what it has done to kids with regard to treating them with horrific hormones, what it has done to the American Medical Association, the CDC, the NIH, the teachers' unions. That is what it has done to Election Day. There is no Election Day. There's an election month. There's no way to check if you're a citizen when you vote. Every democracy of which I am aware, and I know we're a republic, but we're also a democracy. Every democracy of which I am aware has some ID required for you to vote. Until a few years ago, until the left screwed around with elections, we actually had results in almost every instance the night of the election. Now it's days, sometimes a week. Why did we go to electric machine for counting? Anyone who is honest, which precludes the. One second here, folks. Am I guys? Am I on? Because I'm not hearing me. Are we okay here? Okay. All right. Forgive me. There was a glitch here, and I lost my train of thought. But it's what has been done to Election Day when every other country allows for IDs, but we don't. It's the Democrats that have done that. And then he says that in this sort of farewell address, which was essentially dishonest in any event, because he said he needs to pass it on to young people. That's the reason? Well, why didn't he say that a year ago? Why does he announce that once he's nominated? Didn't he lie then to all those who voted for him? If the reason that he is not running is because he wants to pass the mantle on to youth, then why didn't he say that earlier? That's a lie. It was just a lie. It has nothing to do with his age. It has to do with his infirmity. And the fact that he was forced out. Forced. Do I want to play his speech? I would say that in all the years that Sean and I have worked together, that is the toughest question he has ever asked me. I'm not joking with you. Do I want to play his speech? Well, let's see what you pick. Let's give it a try.
You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place.
So everything about this is dishonest. So Donald Trump is just a couple of years younger than he is. And why doesn't he think that the best way to unite the nation and win for his party is to pass the mantle on to the next generation? In general, Americans don't care how old you are. They care how well you function, which is exactly how it ought to be. When people hear you speak, they don't think, you're X numbers of years old. They either think you make sense, you inspire, or you don't make sense and you don't inspire. So it just wasn't true. And as I said, if it's true, why did he come to this realization now? Well, it has nothing to do with age. It has to do with he'd lose because he's incapacitated mentally. It's not his fault. If the guy really cared about his party and his country more, he would have said a while ago, "I'm not running," and then open up a campaign for an open campaign. He had every intention until last week of being the candidate, but everybody abandoned him, or virtually everybody. I guess not Van Jones. Van Jones, who I don't think is a bad guy, but I have to say that he wept over Joe Biden's not running. To think well of Joe Biden, it came out again how much he lied much of his lifetime about how the tragic taking of his first wife, whom he adored, and one of his children's lives in an accident, that he blamed it on the other driver. This is a total lie. Total. Yeah, he blamed the other driver for being drunk. Why is that different from blaming the other driver? Right. Okay. He said the other driver was drunk. Correct. And the other driver was not drunk. The implication is that the other driver was at fault. Well, that was his speech. He somewhat barely got through it. I think anybody watching, I think most Democrats were relieved that he's not running. Kamala Harris is the presumptive nominee, a woman of no depth, pure, undiluted leftist. It's very scary, actually. The thought of her being president is a very scary one. I'm going to talk about a tangential issue now that I think will be of interest to you. So her husband came out and criticized those who talked about her being childless. And apparently there are people, I don't know, on X, I don't know who has criticized her for being childless. But there is an issue here that is worth noting. Americans would like their leaders to be married and have children, for the same reason that the Trump haters say, well, it's irrelevant what policies Donald Trump pursued as president. He himself is an awful human being. He's not an awful human being. He has said some awful things, but he's not an awful human being. But in any event, what they're saying is your policies are not the only thing to be considered. Your life is supposed to be considered. So Americans who would like their president to be married and have children, in other words, in an age of alienation from the nuclear family, where more and more young people, the most childless generation in American history, is now amongst us, it is wrong to criticize her for not having children. But it is wrong for her not to address the issue. All she has to say is, look, the ideal in our society, in Judeo-Christian values, which I hold, is to be married and to have children if you can. For whatever reason, we were not able, but I do not deny that that is the ideal for a good life. And that would end the issue. The issue is not what is she. The issue is what does she endorse. For the full episode of the Dennis Prager Show, go to pragertopia.com, sign up, and become a full member.